everybody, Sam Prime here with Gamers Command. I'm here to bring you a little deck tech about a deck that I am pretty fond of. If you know me, you know I hate aggro decks, so don't be surprised when I say that this deck is a Knights deck. It's a deck that I heavily considered for, not that Gorilla, heavily considered for Chicago. In fact, I brought it. I did not bring Shark. I brought Knights. I at the last second I just thought it just wasn't ready, hadn't been tested enough. It was doing pretty good in most matchups, but it just didn't feel refined. And so at the very last second I borrowed 50 cards from Jerry Donahue to play Shark. I got second place, so I can't say I'm like disappointed in that, but at the same time I wish I'd ran this deck because I thought it was pretty sweet. So we'll go ahead and just build it, hopefully refine it a little bit. I'll start with what the basis for it, and we'll build upon that. We're going to name it Knights of the Round after the coolest summon in Final Fantasy VII, arguably, I guess. And we're going to make it Earthfire. Yep, that's right. It is an Earthfire Knights deck. So we'll see what we think about it. All right, so the basis of the deck is built around, obviously, the probably strongest knight is Ramza. So obviously Ramza, being able to break any forward just by doing 4 knights is pretty popular. But one thing that's really cool about this Ramza is it does say job knight, that it plays 5 or less, plays on the field, and then dole 5 active job knights. So it doesn't have to be forwards. And in fact, in this deck, it's usually not going to be. So we're going to play 3 Pelennor and 3 Sigordis. So these backups are really interesting, and they actually have text, and believe it or not, I think the text on these cards is pretty relevant in a lot of the aggro matches. For example, Sigordis, you can dole it to choose 1 forward, and it loses first strike until end of turn. That can be a big deal because of cards like Gilgamesh and Warrior Light. And then also Pelennor, in addition to being able to give Brandless Brave, you can dole it to deal 1,000 to all of the forwards. This doesn't include your forwards, so be careful. But if your forwards have first strike, that doesn't necessarily matter. All right, and then we are going to play a copy or 2. We'll see how many we have for Brandless. And what he does, he's an EX Burst Knight, and he gets Brave and first strike when Pelennor and Sigordis are in play. He also gets plus 1,000 for each one of those in play. And when he enters, you can search for one of those backups. So he's a Knight Searcher. And it is a 5-drop. So it is a great card to get back with Ramza. So you can actually just discard Brandless to Ramza, get Brandless back into play, and then go get one of your backups, which is great. The next staple of the deck is the 4-drop Garland. This is a staple because when you want to Ramza someone over and over again, the best way to do that is to keep bringing back your Ramza. And this does that, which is great. The knight entering to deal 5,000 is not irrelevant. It can definitely come up. But for the most part, the job of Garland here is to bring back Ramza and then turn sideways sometimes. However, the other important one is that this Garland is pretty good, especially when you combine it with some of the other cards we're going to find in the list. So this one, if damage dealt by summon ability, that becomes 0, and then when a backup is put from the field into the break zone, draw a card. That includes all of your backups that break and all of your opponent's backups that break. And then the special flair is choose 1 forward, break it. Then your opponent selects 1 backup and pushes in the break zone, which of course will trigger the auto ability that allows you to draw a card. And if they Albatross to it, well, Garland is not dealt damage by summon's abilities. So that would be great. So yeah, so those are kind of the knight forwards, a little bit of the knight backups. However, they also recently printed this knight backup, which is so good. And that's Bilo. When it enters, choose 1 Earth character in your break zone, add to your hand. I love this card. I would play this card in non-knights decks, but we're going to definitely play it in this deck. So those are the basic knights. Now there's definitely some ones you can consider. This 5-drop delete is kind of interesting. The Heretical Garland can be kind of good. You can play some more Garlands. There's the 7-drop. Yeah, here it is. This one's pretty good. If you want to blow up some backups. I also think it's interesting if you end up playing Meath in a deck, because you can Meath this away. So I'm going to start with that. And the reason is I really do like a Meath in this deck. So we're going to go into Meath now. Let's see. I got to reset my filters. Reset filters. Let's try this again. Meath. All right. So Meath, of course, is when enters, you may discard a card, and then you may search for 1/4 with the same cost as a discard card. So you can discard the Ramza to get the Heretical Night Garland, or the Heretical Night Garland to get the Ramza. And that's pretty cool. But what else is 7 cost is really cool for to search up is the Demon. So I usually play like 1, maybe 2 demons. Shadow Lord can be quite good as well. It's also a 7-drop. And then another, as you can tell, I'm going really hard into the Meath. You don't have to do this. I just think that I like a lot of toolboxy stuff. And so you can discard your extra, you can play 3 Shantotos, which helps you cast your fire cards. And then the extra ones for 7, you can discard to your Meath. We're actually going to bump up Meath because we'll have a way to break our backups, so we'll show you. Yeah, so this is already looking a little toolboxy, a little more control than you're probably used to, which is, definitely my style of deck. I like it so far. 14 backups is, it's a decent amount in this age, but it's not really where I want to be because I'm a control deck. So I'm going to add in a couple copies of Tyro. Tyro gives us more access to lightning for Limit Break Cloud, in addition to the Shantoto. Also an EX burst, and it's a fire backup, kind of, taps for fire. And that's kind of important when it comes to casting all of these fire cards, when right now we only have Meath. So that's the basis of it. Now, this is what I want to do. I want to explore not just what I had, but our options here, and to kind of show you how I go about deck building. Unfortunately, the way I actually go about deck building is much more chaotic than this, because I will use the search engines like you see me doing here. So if I'm like, what other stuff gets stuff in the break zone, blah, blah, I'll use the search engines, and then I will build them with physical cards, because I do better with that way. It's like a texture thing. I don't know. Like I just build with, so it gets really messy. But we're going to use FF decks for the convenience of the video, and it's actually just more convenient than actually building it. So maybe I should do it more often, but I won't. All right, so we have the basics of the Fords. I really want an Ignis in the deck because it breaks these backups. It breaks the Shantoto, so you recast a new Shantoto. It triggers Garland, which gets us another Ford back, so we get we draw a card, we get a Ford back. Like, there's a lot of value in that. So I actually like that quite a bit. So, I told you guys I'm a fan of Meath, right? Meath, you can Meath away your extra Brandaless, get Ignis, you Meath away your Ignis to get back Brandaless. But I don't think that's quite good enough. I think that in any control deck right now in the format, I really like Shinryu. Let me just actually type it in because I want both Shinryus. Let's see. It would help if I can spell. Shinryu. All right. So, I'm going to probably start with 2 copies of this one and 1 copy of this one. I think it's totally fine to split. I think that they're better in different matchups. You can Meath for them, Tyro for them, and you can always use this one to search up this one if it's not very good, and then use this one to special. But when you search up this one, it's like good into the wall decks, which are really popular right now. So if we have these already, and we know that we get to draw a card when we break a backup, and we get to get a Ford back when we break a backup, I like backups that can break. And for that reason, it's probably not where you thought I was going with this. Princess Goblin. It searches for these Shinryus, and it breaks when it comes in, which will draw this card, and I'll do all this kind of cool stuff. And it's a fire backup, which we really needed. So I really like it. It's good soup. You know what I mean? It's good soup. All right, so we're at 35 cards. We have 18 4s in a control deck. That's, for me, believe it or not, that's a lot. That's a lot. It might even be enough. So let's see where else I want to go. I like these colors. In these colors, I'm a big fan of monsters. And control decks in general, I'm a big fan of monsters. Phoenix is probably the best fire monster in the game outside the goblin package. It's pretty good. I guess I don't necessarily, because I'm reoccurring a lot of stuff, I don't necessarily want to activate its ability quite a few times, but it is a good thing that dodges our own Shantoto, dodges a lot of other stuff that's going on. And then let's get a copy of Arimon. Now we have the Demon, we have Ramza, we have Shadow Lord, Shinryu, Ignis, this Shinryu, and I think that's it so far. Oh, and Phoenix that allow us to turn this on, so now we have ways to break stuff. And now, what about if we have some of these goblins? Now, I like the goblins. They, in conjunction with the Garland, this Garland right here, they can ping to finish off stuff, which is cute, relevant. In conjunction with the Shinryu, you can kill stuff if you flip a forward at 7Ks, and you can spin this to finish it off. Can be kind of relevant. Goblins are also good with the Demon. And then they search out a Princess Goblin, so I really like them. And I also like, anytime I run those goblins, just like Tori does, I like to run the Opus 4 Haste Goblin. And I really like Opus 4 Haste Goblin with any deck with the Demon. It's just really good. Be able to haste that away. Also being able to haste this Garland so that you can use it special right away is pretty good. Pretty good. All right, so let's see where we are right now. We are at 41 cards. We only have 6 EX bursts, which is a decently low number for the current meta. I don't love that we only have 41 EX bursts. Our split on colors is 19-19. That's important. I always check that. Our curve is a little high right now. All right, so we're gonna try and play 2 backups on turn 1 and maybe a second 2-drop, and then into a Vilo, a Tyro, or a Shantoto on turn 3. But yeah, our curve's decently high. So on top of EX bursts, I want a lower curve. With 9 cards to go, I don't know how we're gonna make that a thing, but we're gonna look. So first off, I just want to explore, make sure we explored all of the knights that I think are good here. So you could, there's also the Light Knight Rain, but I don't think it's very good, especially when you're already running 3 light cards. All right, let's see. So a couple ones that are okay. This can break a backup, which will get you, if your backup locked, it'll also get you the Garland trigger and the Ignis trigger. Fine. This Delita is also fine. It's not great. This Delita is not very good because, so it's fine if you like sack a Matt or if you sack a Leo, but you don't really want to be, when it comes in you sack a forward, you can break something at the same cost. You really just don't want to be sacking these knights. You want to keep your board alive. Which is a weird thing for control deck. I guess control decks don't usually care. These are all fine. But none of them are really good. Like, I actually don't mind this Ramza, but it's called Ramza, and that's a big problem since the deck focuses around this card right here. So, all right, so we've explored the knights. I don't love them, so I guess, like I said, I'd like to move into a little bit of EX burst to see like what kind of EX burst these colors can offer us. Boster is good, but we're not running a single king in this deck. There are definitely some kings that are playable in this deck. We could be playing the 2 CP Kolka, which helps discard this card and deal damage. We could be playing the 4 CP Kolka. However, I need 3 knight backups so that when I play Ramza, I don't need anything else. Like, just these, like the 3 backups and Ramza is enough to activate Ramza. So that means I only have 2 spots for other backups. So I can't really put in more backups that don't break. So those kings are out. This Ingus is probably fine. Like, even though we're not mono earth, I think this is totally playable. I don't think it's good enough, but it is playable. It's close. It's close. All right. So let's see. Krill's decent. We already have a card named Meath. Titan's fine. So in my version of Chicago, I had I had 1 Elvis, 3 Madam, and 1 Shinju. And it was fine. I did feel like I got backup locked where I like to like be careful with what I played, which is what the Ignis is for. So if we need more EX bursts in a lower curve, maybe we go down that road, that road. But right now, I'm not convinced. Let's see what else we have. Bahamut's been pretty good in testing. No. Terra's fine if we add some summons. Oh, Gabranth. I like Gabranth. Gabranth obviously searches us for our Ramset, which is the staple of our deck. Our Wrath of Gods, Shinryu, Shadow Lord, Demon. Like those are what I consider Wrath of Gods, basically. And it's an EX burst and it's lower curve, so you can play. You don't mind it dying if you're getting rushed down. Totally fine. It's an EX burst. I think it really checks all the boxes that we talked about. We're going to start with 2 for now. May or may not be because that's how many full arts I own, but I think we'll start with 2. I just want to be honest with the reason why I was going with 2. Let's see what else we have access to. There's so many cards like I'm passing by that are like, I'm like, oh, I tried that, so good, so cool, but it's not good. It's not good enough for this deck. All right. So I think that's where I am as far as the EX burst. I guess so. Q Sith, it doesn't lower the curve. It does. Our goal is to continue to play Ramsa, and it does do that. So I think we want to maybe one. I mean, we're gonna have to make cuts no matter what, just so you guys know. Because let's see. So let's see if I add one. Because you, in this format, you need 3 Mist Dragons, probably. Also protect your guys. And you need 3 Amaterasus. So I guess when I started the deck, I should just put these 6 cards in there since we're Earth Fire. So that already puts us over to, oh, that puts us at exactly 50. So, is that good enough? That's my question. I don't know. It's good. I think I want to cut the Q Sith. I think I want to cut. I don't think that this card is. So it kills Sarah FFL. It kills Sarah, Hirosh, and Toto. A lot of those cards you don't really care if you kill. It's an 8K. It gets on. You play 7 and it gets Amaterasu. You're like really sad. So I think this one's not going to make this list. If it was less competitive, it was like a more fun list, it would definitely make that list. That leaves us with 2 spots. I already know what those 2 spots are going to be for me. I'd like to play this 2-drop Mira, which when it enters, choose 1 monster in your break zone. Its cost is equal to or less than the damage you receive. Play it on the field. And when a monster is put in a break zone, choose 1 for it to deal 2,000. So your goblins now deal 5k to stuff. Blah blah blah. That's not really the purpose. A lot of the purpose here is in the late game you can like break something Ignis, get Mirror back, kill their guy, play Mirror, get back haste Goblin, and then haste even your Mirror for the win, as well as 2k summons. So this trades up into a 7k. That's one thing you can do. It's pretty good. But in control decks, I really think that the cat is pretty good. Puma. So then, like the late game, if you get to 5 damage, you threaten playing Mira, which gets Puma, which gets back your Shinryu. Then you Wrath them. Then you can actually sack your Bilo to get back an Ignis, kill a new forward, get another forward back, then Puma back in the Bilo, get another forward. You get the point. It does some pretty cool stuff. Yeah, so that's really the deck I would start with. Yeah, I think I like it. That's just the basis. That's my first draft of it. I guess it's technically my second draft of it, but this is my first time building this exact variant of it. Yeah, I guess that's where I would leave off. If you guys have any comments or questions about the deck, feel free to comment in the thread below. If you want to try it out, feel free to try it out. By any means, it's not some secret tech. Like I said, I just didn't have time to finish it before Chicago. And now I'm very much considering a different deck for Canada. So this one's really off the radar for me for now. I don't have a lot of time testing. I don't get to play nearly as much as I would like to. So, I can't really afford to like spend the time I am playing testing this deck if I'm already trying out the other deck. So that'll be interesting. We'll see how Canada goes. But if you do like this deck and you try your locals, definitely let me know. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll see you later.